So here we are in day 5. There's basically nothing left to do but wait at this point. I need to wait for my prestige and piety to tick up to the highest level. I need to wait for my skills to tick up high enough via the kin bonus. I need to wait for me to become a rank 5 bondsmith. Um, there's a problem though, which is that the lifestyle perks that I'm about to choose here will eventually put me at negative 100% stress, even if I'm tapping, plus 100% from ferrochemy. So I'm going to. It's not as big a problem as I thought initially, because I could just do ambition and then the bonus for ambition gives plus 100% stress gain. So I could just bond as friend after that, but I'll eventually realize that I'm not getting any stress, and I will reset my lifestyle perks. It means I get less health to store with ferrochemy, so I'm less immortal than I would like, but it's fine. Um, I'll just throughout the entire day, I just keep an eye on the bondsmiths to see what rank they are, see which one I should be kidnapping to use ferrochemy on, um, and just wait for them to reach high enough rank. I also need to wait for my culture to have all the innovations from this era, but now that we've taken invention, that happens very, very quickly, because uh, the invention victory provides increased chance of your fascination gaining progress, and it also gives every single province in the world 100 development, so the amount of progress gained is very high. So that's not going to be the limiting factor, I wouldn't think. So I'm also going to have to go and create a new faith at some point, a faith in which I am the head of faith, since I forgot to revoke that title before doing endowment. But that's not going to be a problem. Uh, most of this religion's holy sites are Dawn cities, and you can teleport from one Dawn city to another. So I can easily just go and invade Kolinar or the Shattered Plains, whatever. I can do that later on. There's no rush to get that done. I'll also start just inviting counselors with the highest skills possible to my realm, because 20% of their skills are added to my own, which means I'll have to spend less time waiting for my skills to tick up. Uh, Getting a good spouse with diplomacy, martial, and intrigue. Those are the three skills that it's going to be hard for me to get above the required amount. They need to be 65 for Adonalsium, because stewardship, learning, and prowess I can get either by increasing stress or by uh, using ferrochemy. So it's just those three skills that are relevant. I can bump diplomacy with a building, a duchy building. So I start looking to upgrade that in my capital. That gives I'll eventually give +3 diplomacy per fame level, so I can get +15 for one building. I can go and conquer another duchy if I need a second one. But at this point, I think I'm just going to start talking about how I would change this run if I were doing it again. First, I would start with the Wrathful trait. Being able to duel people to imprison them would be ridiculously helpful. I wasted 60 points taking the Renowned Physician trait because I hadn't looked into ferrochem before the run started, and I was doing everything I could to try and buff my learning. And Renowned Physician is the hardest of the traits to acquire that buffs learning. So I was like, right, I'll take that. But yeah, with ferrochemy, that's not even close to necessary. I should have spent those points on Wrathful, done something else with what was left over. Um, Second, I wouldn't have started as my own dynasty, my own house rather. I would have joined Toyd's dynasty so I could claim cultivation with my first character. Cultivation provides negative 40% building cost, so combining that with granting provinces to vassals, so I don't have the triple building cost from uh, the difficulty, I could have had a much stronger realm by this point in the game. Um, the downside being I might have to save skill if Yasuna inherits Alethkar, and I don't have control over Dynasty Legacies. I think both of those are worth it for being able to claim cultivation with my first character. Final thing is, I obviously should not have claimed the whimsy when I did. That would have, if I'd saved it for this character, that would have made it easy and uh, cut so much time off getting the adventure trait via doing the dungeon delve. And would have saved me an ungodly amount of stress as well. I spent a lot of time looking at the bottom left corner of the map. Part of that is a conscious choice in that I think the game runs faster with less shit on the screen, and with all these empires I can do it going as fast as I can. But the other thing is also I've got Discord on my left monitor, so when I just mouse over towards Discord, it just gets dragged over there. So when I'm sitting speaking to people, I'll not even notice that the game's just showing absolutely nothing. Yeah, at this point I'm just considering which holy site I want to claim so I can make my own religion. I go for Kolinar in the end, just no reason really. I don't think the one over in Shinovar was a holy site, and the one in the Shattered Plains is held by my dynasty, and the one in Aesir is held by a fairly large, fairly large, just like 5 provinces, but nonetheless I chose to go for Kolinar, and I figured most of the people I'm allied to are probably over there as well, so I can call them in and they'll go win the war for me without me having to do any work. So at this point, I can make a new head of faith as soon as I'm at peace. I've stolen rank 5 bondsmith from the guy that I kidnapped earlier. It's literally just wait for my prestige to tick up, and we are done. That'll let me do ambition at the very least, and then it would just be a case of waiting for whatever stats I can't get via buildings, councillors, and lifestyles to get the last to be able to claim Adonalsium. I'm already at maximum piety rank, so I'm just sitting waiting on prestige. At this point, I've noticed that I have a cultural tradition called legalism, which is giving me negative 100% prestige gain because of my, well, okay, negative 96% prestige gain because of my 96 dread. There's nothing I can do to lower the dread, that's all base value. So I'm just sitting waiting until I'm allowed to change cultural tradition to abandon that, but it's a fair while off yet. But at this point, I just got a stress break and I've now bonded the sibling. So prestige is the only thing that we're waiting for. Prestige and some stats. So I spam out hunts and feasts and holding court whenever I can because they can all give some prestige. Just sit and wait for the last few years that I need to. I know that intrigue is a stat I'm going to struggle the most for, so I'm eventually going to start to imprison people to torture them because of the Dark Insights thing that you can get. Of course, I'm always going to roll prowess for the first 5 until that one's capped, and then I'll start getting some intrigue. But either way, we get some progress on that, and it's just a case of filling out some more lifestyles, and I should just about be there without even having to wait too long for the kin tree to tick up with the last of my skills. It's at this point that I've discovered a bug, which is that when I took Honours Victory, the province and county modifiers weren't applied. Sorry, the province and dynasty modifiers weren't applied. So I went and checked, and my original character did get the Herald trait. We're just trying to figure out what exactly was broken. For some reason, when my character died, most of the rest of the script from the decision doesn't apply, and the effect to apply the modifier to the dynasty and provinces fires last, so it just got completely cancelled. At this point, I've said I won't bother fixing that. It's not making much of a difference. It's not worth the effort of booting the game up in debug mode to fix it. Unfortunately, I will have to fix it because having that modifier as part of how many victories you have is being counted. So, spoilers, I do win at the end of this run. But when I first claim ambition, the Restore Adonalsium decision just doesn't appear, which is a bit disheartening. But yeah, quickly figure out that's the problem, and then I fix it. I do some work upgrading the duchy building in my capital because it's providing diplomacy per fame, so that should be able to get me pretty close to the diplomacy required. I worked out it's not quite enough, so I'd either need someone with more diplomacy than Hoyd, which I don't think exists in the entire game right now, or I will need a second duchy to build another version of that duchy building. I go with option 2, and I decide I'll actually fight the war, and I declare war for the Duchy of Colin eventually. I thought Tobin would be upset if I just completely ignore all of his military debuffs by never fighting any wars in the entire game. I do get my ass handed to me repeatedly because I'm still fighting with only levies and no men at arms. I've got really good advantage though, so as soon as my allies show up and lend me some good troops, we kick some serious ass and I conquer the Duchy of Colin without much difficulty. That lets me swap out the duchy building for another rhetoric hall, which is the one that's providing the extra diplomacy. So that'll get me all the diplomacy I need. 4 points away there. It's at this point I notice that someone's trying to assassinate me, but I've not got that long left in the game, so I was like, screw it, I'll just tap all of the connection and all the scheme discovery chance. That should give me all the protection I need to finish the run off without having to save scum too much more. At this point, I'm giving some artifacts to one of my Radiant Councillors. That's because his skill for his job is based on prowess, and his job provides a discount on building things if I swap to one of the tasks. For some reason, the tooltips aren't displaying the what the tasks actually do, but I know what they all do, so it's not a big deal. There's a couple times here during this war that I get attacked when I'm standing on top of my allies' armies and I can't figure out why they don't join the battle. And then I realise it's because I'm in 2 different wars and my allies are only in one of them. So that gets my army wiped a couple times, but I don't really care. I have really fast life regeneration rate and it's not like I'm losing the war or anything. I'm purely just fighting this for fun at this point. I could just sit back and do nothing. I could have kidnapped the guy before declaring the war. But I've got like an hour or so left in the run. I may as well have some fun with it. thinking back on it now, there's a set of policies in the policy screen there that you can increase, which basically means that your councillors need to have relevant education to be able to fill the field, but they provide flat bonuses to skills, so I probably could have used that to get the last few points of skills I needed as well, rather than coming and doing this this war so that I could change the duchy building in Kolinar, but it's didn't really make that much of a difference, and it could well have resulted in some councillors being fired, so I think it's probably worth doing it this way instead. I'm now swapping, well, I'm looking into swapping legalistic for another tradition because it's cutting my prestige gain by a lot. It's giving me negative 100% almost, so there we go, swap that. Gone from 11 prestige to 33 prestige a month. So at this point all that's left is to tick up the last few bits of prestige needed. Swap over that duchy building there just in case I need the diplomacy. We're basically done. I swapped to a martial lifestyle just to get an extra few points of martial because I was still struggling at that point, but I can swap back to intrigue to get the +3 if I need it. Checking my kill list there, there's 2 people in the entire run, one the person I hemalers and another that I killed via a court event. But at this point, that's us done. I claim ambition, and Adonalsium isn't there, so I come back in debug mode, claim ambition, add honor, and there we go. Adonalsium is done.